right, kiddo, story time. Again, next question in the book is, who were your childhood friends? And it's actually a two-part. So the first part is, who were your childhood friends? And the second part is, are you still in contact with any of them? So let me start with, who were my childhood friends? And that one, kind of easy to answer in a way. But I will say, on my street growing up, there was a ton of kids. We had kids from one end of the street to the other. So I had friends from on the whole street, around the block, around the corner, the whole neighborhood. There was kids around the whole neighborhood. So we were either at the park or just riding our bikes around the whole neighborhood and meeting up with other kids. I mentioned before in some of the other videos that our houses were we were surrounded by fields pretty much. So we rode our bikes a lot in the fields, played baseball in the field. So there was always a bunch of kids, just a bunch of kids hanging out. I had two best friends growing up. One's name was Anthony and one's name was Tony. Again, if you see my other videos, you saw my nickname videos, and it was hard to go by nickname. And then there was three of us that we pretty much had the same name. And I will say we were the closest. All three of us were pretty close. Not only because of our name, but also our birthdays were within the same week. So the way our friends would tell us apart, I shouldn't say tell us apart, but they would call us, so we wouldn't all respond, is we had Big Ant, we had Tony, and then we had Little Ant. That's me. Little Ant is me. So Tony was the youngest of the bunch, and Little Ant was the oldest, so that's me. And then Big Ant, obviously he was just Big Ant because he was bigger than me. But growing up, Tony was always a little bit bigger than all of us. And then once we got older, he was bigger than us. So, but he still stayed Tony. And Big Ant, well, he got a little big, but not as big as Tony. Tony was just big gene wise, and Anthony got a little fat and husky. So he didn't get big for his genes. So for the most part, it was us three. We grew up together. We pretty much grew up together. And like I said, our birthdays were in the same week. So we would always kind of, I'm not say make fun of each other, but we would tease each other, and, because it was my birthday first. So I take that back. Tony's birthday was the day before mine, but I was 364 days older than him. So we were the same age for one day, and then the very next day I turned a year older because he was a year younger than me. Well, 364 days. So when he turned 10, the very next day I turned 11. He turned 11, the very next day I turned 12. And Anthony, Big Ant, his birthday was, I believe it was August 2nd. So it was just a week after ours. So we used to tease each other, and I used to say, we're the same age. We're older than Anthony. We're older than Anthony now. And then his birthday would come, and I keep hearing noises or somebody. Oh, where was I? So yeah, we would kind of celebrate our birthdays at the same week. We never really had birthday parties together, but we celebrated, amongst each other. And then, high school, junior high, I can't remember exactly when, but that group Tony came out, and of course there was us three, thinking we were Tony at one point, but that was about it. Just I had two best friends growing up, and a ton of neighborhood friends, but those were my two solid friends growing up. We had another guy on the street. His name was Fred. Fred was cool. He hung around us, but he didn't click with us as much as us three did. So now those were my two best friends growing up, and because we lived down the street from each other too. Tony lived two houses down across the street from me, and excuse me, Anthony lived about 4 houses down on the same side as me. So we all lived on the same street. We all went to the same elementary school. We went to the same junior high. We rode the same school bus. So we were all pretty good friends. We all We were really good friends, us three. And then high school came. In high school, it's when we separated. Them two went to a different school, and I went to my high school. We still hung out, after school, on the weekends, around the neighborhood, around on the block. Still rode our bikes around, still played football, played baseball. I lasted for a few years, because after a few years in high school, we started making our own friends and started kind of making our own way, our own crowd. We were separating from the neighborhood kids. So Tony, I believe he ended up just dropping out of high school and concentrated on work. And Anthony, I believe too, he dropped out of high school and he ended up taking the bad route in life. He dropped out of high school real young. Joined a gang. He ended up joining the gang. Uh, what else? He went to prison. He was in and out of jail. So he took a turn for the worse. So until this day, I haven't talked to him in years. It's been well over 15 years, 20 years since I've heard from him last. Tony, he still lives in the city we grew up in. He actually worked for the same company my wife and my son work for. So I know my son sees him every once in a while, but I haven't talked to him. We're still cool with each other. I haven't seen him in a few years and talked to him in a few years. We just kind of drifted apart too. Life got busy. He's married. Lost his parents, raising his daughters. Lost his sister. I was there for him during all that. I went to pay my condolences when his parents died, when his sister died. So still kept in touch that way. It's unfortunate that now as we get older, that's how we see each other is when someone passes. We had a neighborhood friend pass. It's been some years, but excuse me. When we went back to the neighborhood to pay our condolences to his mom, we saw a bunch of neighborhood kids, and some of them we didn't even recognize anymore because they're all grown. We're all grown. We're all men now, so some of us we don't look the same. Some of us do. They say I did. Some of them didn't look the same. I don't remember you. They tell me their names like I don't remember you. But anyways, yeah, Tony and Anthony and myself we were good friends, and we hung out. We hung out quite a bit until high school. We went our separate ways, and then life got us. Life just got busy. We grew up. We became men, and had to take care of our families. So, I mean, as far as Tony and I go, the Anthony, I don't know what happened to him. I know he had a couple kids. I remember, but um, I don't know if he ever got married. I don't know if he had any more kids. I don't know anything about him. Haven't heard from him in years, so it's been a while. Second part of it was of the question is, am I still in contact with any of my childhood friends? And to be honest with you, no, I'm not. I have one friend that I went to high school with, and I met him during high school, so I didn't grow up with him, but he was from my high school years, and I still talk to him every once in a blue moon because he's actually my tattoo artist. So whenever I need a tattoo, that's who I go to. His name is Danny. Right now, my daughter goes. My daughter goes to him, so she sees him quite a bit. Even though I tell her not to, she still does. But that's on her. Totally on her. But yeah, so that's the only guy I kind of really keep in contact with from high school. And like I said, not on a regular either. Just every now and then. But like I said, my daughter goes over there and I'll tell her, hey, well, tell him I said what's up, or vice versa. She'll come home. Hey, I saw Danny, or I talked to Danny. He said, what's up? Oh, cool. Oh, excuse me. Real quick, guys, I'm getting a little bit braver doing this, talking to the camera. Even I know right now I still feel real nervous because my daughter's actually downstairs eating. She just got home, so I'm nervous that she's here. I'm nervous that she can hear me, and I actually feel good though because the other day we were sitting down having dinner, and I was going through my on my phone, and I just mentioned, I said, guess how many videos I'm at, and I told her, and she says, "Wow, Dad, you're not just trying to do YouTube." She said, "You have a whole channel. You are doing YouTube. For you to have a whole channel like that, like that's awesome." It meant something to me. So that's what I think. I'm starting to not enjoy this too much. I get a little inspiration like that. It poof, just picks me up. So on with my story. They're all choices. They're all choices we made because see, Anthony, big Anthony, his mom and dad were very well educated people. They were the all American family. He had a fantastic job. He was an architect. His mom was a supervisor at a factory. So they both had good jobs, made good money, did the vacation once a year for a week, the whole family, the whole bit, like we used to say back in the day, oh, leave it to Beaver life, which means, just they work, go on vacation, put the kids in sports and they play football and they had it all. They really did. They had it all. Grandparents went and visited them on a regular, and they had a really good upbringing, really solid upbringing. And Tony's mom and dad, they were married. He was raised with his sisters. He was the only boy, and his dad was a pastor. So, uh, from the stories I hear, he wasn't always a pastor. Just from what I remember growing up, he was a pastor. So, he was a pastor. So Tony grew up in the church. Um, and me, I grew up in the broken home. Just my mom raising me, and then afterwards, my stepdad coming to the picture. But I wasn't raised with my mom and dad. I'd go to my dad's house every once in a while. My grandparents would come and see us. I still had a good childhood. I had a good upbringing. But out of all of us, I was the one from the broken home. And Tony was, I'm not going to say he had a rough upbringing, but his cousins, all his side of the family, they were really rough. They were rough. I'm not going to say names or call them names, but they were rough. So he was always with them majority of the time. So he was rough like them. He took after them, but he still stood solid and kept his head on straight. So the choices we made is now Tony, till this day, has only had 2 jobs in his life. So he's a hard worker, dedicated to his job, to his wife and kids. He made that choice to be a family man and to be a good worker, a hard worker. Me, I got married. I had kids. Now I have grandkids. I had a good job. Yes, I was medically retired, but I still had a good job. Choices that I made. Anthony, soon as he got a chance, he made that choice and picked up some drugs and then started hanging around with the wrong people, started ditching school, then dropped out, then joined the gang, and then tried to support his habit by robbing and doing whatever else he was doing, and ended up in and out of jail and then eventually in prison. Did some time in prison and then he came out and in and out of jail again and then in prison again. He had an older brother, same thing. From when we were kids, he was in and out of jail. So, and that was sad because his dad actually worked for the sheriff's department. So I'm pretty sure he saw them every once in a while in jail. But choices we make, those are choices we make. Just always remember, feels wrong, it's wrong. Just don't do it. Always listen to your gut. And that's it. I'm gonna end it for now, guys. Told you about my friends, the few I had growing up, the ones I'm still in contact with. But most importantly, my friends now are my family, are you guys, my kids, my grandkids, my wife, all you guys, my family, my in laws, my family, just my family, my whole family. Those are all the friends I need. That's all I need in my life is my friends, my family. Good night, guys. Give me some water. Sis, can you throw me up a water, please? No, not the bones. And not the sauce too. He'll start shitting his pants. He'll be shitting in the middle of the night. You can throw it. Ready? Yeah. Thank you. Good night.